He said, do you think American audiences will get this? Yeah, the intelligent ones will.
If you perform it, you want to play Wembley. It's the Madison Square Garden, it's the Hollywood Bowl. Good night, Wembley! You can say that in a very small place. You can say that when you're street performing.
I was trying to do DVD extras. I made a couple of shorts. I was doing courses in London. I was just trying to get my hands dirty and do it, just find out what it's like as opposed to theorizing about it. And I was mentioning this to Eddie, and Eddie said, oh, well, why don't you direct one of my shows? And I went, ha, ha, ha. Multi-camera shoot, zero experience. That sounds like a really good plan. Well, so I didn't.
That is about, I asked her to direct one of the live shows, and she said she'd rather do a documentary, which was...
Well, not straight away.
No, but that was, which I actually felt, because, people have watched this and thought, I had no idea that all that went on before. And also some people will still say, oh, transvestite, I'm not even going to bother to even look at this. And once you explain a life, it can help. So I just left her to it so that she could really dig around.
And then I had to chat up girls, and I'd never used my vocal ability to chat up girls. And when your voice is breaking, it's very hard saying, oh, wow, I'm Susan, I don't fancy you. I saw you in the playground.
Traditionally, a documentarian finds the subject and it's a very cold open and you have to discover the story that way, even though you knew what the truth was to begin with.
I had never done anything that was kind of unscripted, where you go in with an idea of what you think you're going to get, and then you don't get it. And then you go, okay, well, let's go for something else. And then you still don't get it. And then you go, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then you keep forming it as it goes along. And there were many, many different cuts, many different versions of this. There were actually 4 entirely different cuts. What people were really interested in was, tell us all about the transvestites, and let's do an expose. That'll be really cool. And we did do a cut like that. And then we did one that was another entirely different thing altogether. And then finally, it was around the time that X Factor, Pop Idol, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, blah, blah, blah. They're all sort of peddling the notion that you could be famous overnight. And I know a lot of people who just got incredibly discouraged. They were like, well, what's the point, And it also became incredibly untrendy to have to work at it. It was like, oh, well, you're obviously not cool. And I suddenly thought, actually, the most positive and meaningful message was one that I hadn't seen since I was a kid, which was, if you work hard, you might not get everything, but you sure as hell will deserve what you get.
Once I was tied up by someone really tight in my ropes and chains. I couldn't get out. Paul said to me, if you think you can't get out, you will not be able to get out. You have to believe you can get out. It's psychological. You've got to believe you can be a stand-up before you can be a stand-up. You've got to believe you can act before you can act. You've got to believe you can be an astronaut before you can be an astronaut. You've got to believe. You've got to imagine yourself in that situation.
One of the most interesting things is that final moment, which is where you let go. Did you have second thoughts and say, look, I know we're friends, we've known each other for quite a while, I really don't want to expose myself in this way?
No, I wanted that to do it, because you've seen a lot of... There's a biography channel in America, I'm not sure if there's one in Australia, and it has, hey, this guy, he has legs, and there's wardrobe, and there's a guy here, lost his hair, gained his hair, it's addicted to drugs, not addicted to drugs, addicted to drugs. And they go through it, and the next on the biography channel, some other guy, he did this, shot himself, and it's sort of a conveyor belt of it just sort of, it just doesn't grab. And I've been in weird places and people have said, thank you for Believe, and hopefully some lesbian girl in Pakistan or something like that will go, well, if that weird fucker can go and do that, then, it gives a route open that isn't I was standing in a queue and I had the right haircut and boom. Or I looked like a model and then all these people came and arranged my career. And I did want Sarah to dig around. I said I didn't want this sort of flat thing. I wanted something that would resonate with average people, because I come from a middle-class background. My dad didn't, but I did. So you think, well, you're already off and you went to boarding schools after my mum died, so that should help. But it doesn't really help in this, but it gives you a certain confidence. But then I'm different to how my brother is, and so that I don't know. It just the documentary hopefully will just give anyone, any of the 7 billionaires we've now got on the planet, hope that you could say, well, if I just keep following my dream, I could get it out. And it doesn't guarantee anything. We know there's no guarantees with any of this. You don't learn from success. Some of these kids who get taken up at their 16 and 17, they will not know how to adjust when success starts blowing away and there's someone else coming up with a good haircut.
People were going to come along and watch me do stuff, and if they liked it, I would get into this benefit called Hysteria 3. And I really tried to do good, and I failed. I said, look, I was really shit tonight, so if you don't want to book me, that's fine. And they said, bizarrely, fantastically, no, it's okay, we'll come back next week and watch you again, which is just like, have a second go. And so they came back next week, and I decided, okay, don't give a damn this week. So I just did whatever, mucked about, had fun. And it went great. And they said, right, you're in.
You worked very hard and obviously failed a few times, and then you made it. If you hadn't made it, how long do you think you would have continued trying? And
Forever.
Forever? And
Yeah.
if you hadn't, what else would you have done? What was your next option?
There wasn't a next option. I did, you know, I've been talking about I'm going to go into politics in 8 years. It was 9 years, but it was about 8 years and 5 months. So that's when I'm going to stand. So I would have done that if I didn't have any creative thing inside me. But there was no, I burnt my bridges, specifically burnt the accounting and financial management degree course bridge that my stepmother, I realized, was going to say, why haven't you got a job in accounting? And so I thought I better burn that bridge before anyone says go back down the bridge. I had to go forward, just line everything up to go forward.